Hello, my favorite people. Welcome to the Real Estate Experience with your host, myself, Sterling White. Nice clean shave. Actually, this is not a nice clean shave. This is about 1 or 2 days old. I forget what time it is half the time, but on each and every one of these episodes, I give a experience share as an entrepreneur, investor in the industry, and also bring on other high achieving investors to where you can really understand the tools, the tactics, the strategies, as well as what's most important, the mindset that has gotten them to where they are. And those of you on the YouTube, you know the next steps. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell. It would mean the world to me. And everyone who is on other sites, listening platforms such as iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, WorldStar Hip Hop, it would really mean the world for you to leave a rating and feedback as well. And also comment below. Would love to hear any guests that I have not had on here that you would like to see. Go ahead and cue that up, and we'll look to reach out to them and get them on. So there's that. And today's topic is along the lines the importance of a team. And this is one thing that I've learned from people who are even further along than I am, that are where I would like to be, is the common thread they talk about is team. And the importance in pushing yourself up to focus on higher value activities versus working in your business. You want to work on your business, which is directly from E-Myth. And prime example, I had someone that reached out to me the other day about a situation about their bathroom surround. I said, I have no clue about a bathroom surround because I'm so far pushed up in terms of my level of higher value activities within the company, that something such as that in the trenches, I have no context on, because there's a team and the team manages something such as small as that. So I just pointed them in the direction of, hey, that you want to just post that type of question on biggerpockets.com. And that's where you ultimately want to get as an operator. And for the longest time, one of the mistakes that I made, and that's just an experience that I'm sharing with you, I never want to tell you guys, which in essence I believe I actually just did, of what you should do. But at some point in time, I feel, and this is from the book Michael Gerber, going back to that, is working on your business versus working in your business, which is formerly what I would want to do. I wanted to learn or be involved with so many small decision making, all the weeds and nuts and bolts of the business, that I knew at some point in time, hey Sterling, you got to get out of there. You got to push yourself up, because one, there's decision fatigue. And this is one thing that someone just mentioned the other day. I was like, I completely agree with that. And that's why every time when a team member of mine comes to me and they try and drop a problem in my plate, they know actually not to do that anymore, because I just say that's one thing I mentioned when we're hiring people is, we're all solution oriented, and if you drop a problem on my plate, you will get chewed out, for lack of a better words. That we have those conversations that always flip it back on them. But then if they keep doing it, then that's when we'll have the conversation that, hey, that's why you are hired on, to be able to solve these types of problems, versus coming to me with the problem and just dropping in my hand, Sterling, what do I do? So that's a no-no. In terms of speaking with team members, it's always, hey, I see that you're running into this problem. What are the options that you have surveyed? I am more than happy to provide a perspective. And it's also the same thing with people that reach out to me in general. They come with the open question and say, what are your thoughts? I always flip it back to them, because a lot of times they already know the answer to it. They just want a different perspective, or confirmation is what I'm looking for. So I just throw the ball back in their plate. And then that way I'm not trying to solve their problems for them, that they solve their problems, because it's better for them to solve it versus me solving it, because they'll always look to go for someone else to look to solve their problems when they're the one that's supposed to be solving their problems. So there's that. And what I mean the importance of a team is that, let's say you're a property management company, you're expanding into a new market. One thing that I had to do was build a team. So when we were expanding from Indianapolis to Louisville, Kentucky, that a team needed to be built out, such as brokers, our acquisitions arm, our property management. We had to get attorneys that worked in that market, insurance provide. So these are all the things that were needed when expanding to that market, because when we were doing the due diligence on the 80 unit before we acquired it, was we relied heavily on that property management company, we also did our own due diligence as far as pulling rental comps, also determining the renovations. But if we were all to try and do that by ourselves, that would have been a lot of an undertaking. So that's why it's good to have a team involved, because I know there's people that want to take the solopreneur route, and there's been occasions where I've wanted to take that. Like, I don't want to deal with employees, or I like to call them teammates and team members, better from that mindset shift, that people make mistakes, and that's one of the things that you'll get frustrated, but they're human beings, you're a human being, and it could be you just didn't communicate something properly, or they just, of course they make the mistake multiple times and they're just not a good fit. But in this case, is by building the team and leveraging that property management company, one thing was they helped with being able to pull the rental comps for the property, able to determine what types of renovations we would put into the property to be able to push those rents up. Secondly, was actually helped with the due diligence in terms of walking all of the units and coming up with the scope of work. Formerly, that's what we done, and I remember showing up to the property on the day we were going to do the due diligence and walk all the units, and in essence, they were already cranking everything out. I was like, from my side, I was thinking that, okay, this is a lot easier. But that's what happens when you have a team and you oversee them, and it's one of those things that you delegate, trust, but also verify. But you run into cases such as that when you put the right people on the right buses on the seat, or the right people in the right seats on the bus. There we go. Something along those lines. You get where I'm going with that. Is, in essence, when you have the great team members on board, that also makes you look good as well, and then you can keep pushing yourself up in the higher value activities, and to avoid things such as figuring out what to do with a bathroom surround. That's very low value, is what I would consider that. And it also, by having a team, allows you to avoid burnout. Because if you're the one that's doing all of these roles within your business, maybe you're also cutting the lawn, you're having to visit the property and collect the rents from the residents, and you're having to do all of that day to day, then you'll realize, and this is what I've encountered with buying more so on the single family side, that the operator gets burnt out because they've done so much. They're the one actually turning the unit with vacuuming, they're doing the painting, and then we actually buy that at a discount from them because they just want out of it. So that's also one thing that helps with having a team. And yeah, you may not make as much profit at the end of the day, but you save your time and you're able to scale that much more, because that's what it comes down to. But yeah, that's just an experience share for myself. And that's one thing I always mention on these things, you guys, is I'm not perfect by any means. I still make mistakes to this day. And I just do experience shares on these. Never want to be a situation, hey, you should do this. I just provide what has worked for me and what has not. And you can use those within your business and have success and avoid the potholes and mistakes. So one thing, also having a team allows you to protect your downside, because let's say you're performing due diligence on the property. There's so many small things that you can encounter with that. You miss one thing that could really just affect the deal. Prime example is, I remember on the acquisition of 156 unit that's here in Indianapolis, is that I did the underwriting. I'm not an underwriter, but I was doing a quick analysis and as a way to get an offer over to the owner, and they made a verbal acceptance of $7 million. And I ended up getting our community manager involved, and she said, hey, Sterling, you're too aggressive on these rents by about $75. So you guys think $75 across $75 times 156 units times 12 months. That is a huge, huge swing in terms of the income. So I had to actually go back to the seller and ask for a reduction of about $1 million. But that's what I mean, is it's good to have a team involved, because by you trying to do all these different elements with one, I had to go have all these various calls in terms of calling multiple owners, in order to get someone who raised their hand, then had to have the conversation, then had to get the financials, then had to do the underwriting of the. So that's what I mean is all the different moving parts, and that's why it's good to have team members. Is once you do get the financials, okay, I'm going to send over to our underwriting team the person to actually build out a model, and then send it over to our community manager to check our rental rates to confirm what I believe we could push those up to, because that will be our offer will depend exactly on that. And that's the case we went into is you think of $2 million of renovations, so it was a heavier value add in terms of an opportunity, and then we're pushing the rents up to this, and this is going to be our return on investment at the end of the day once we push up the rents and we're all invested into the property this amount, and this is the cash flow that's kicked off from it. And then from there, that's when we back into our actual offer price. And it's all based upon how we come up with our offer price is the return that we want to provide to our investors. So you guys actually may want to go back and replay that exact segment that I mentioned, because that's what it comes down to is determining what your offer is going to be. Comes down to if you're doing a syndication, if you're raising money for if you're doing your own deals, then it comes down to the return on investment you want to see. And then from there is how you determine what your return on investment. Let's say it's 11% cash on cash. You want an IRR that's let's say 18%, is you run your model and say, okay, well, the renovations are going to be this, and I'm going to push up the rents to this, and this is going to be my return on investment based upon the cash I have invested. And that allows you to now back into your purchase price that you're able to provide to the owner. So hopefully that all made sense. You may have to go back. If it did not, definitely you'll want to get my guide on how to get started in multifamily. All you have to do is visit sterlingwhiteofficial.com. One more time, that is sterlingwhiteofficial.com. And then also with building a team is a way, one, to avoid burnout, protect your downside, is to put people, you have your strengths, and then delegating in your weaknesses, because this also goes back to the book of E-Myth, is you have all these different roles. There's visionary, there's technician, there's the implementer, all these different things that when you have your businesses, there's so many holes that someone who does the bookkeeping, someone who does the operations, someone who does the marketing, someone who does the sales. So if you are not building a team to plug all those holes, then that will likely cause your business to fail versus succeeding. And that's one thing that's helped me, is understanding my strengths and then putting the right people in place on the weaknesses. And when you're starting out, you may not have the cash to be able to pay someone for that. So in that case, you may have to give up equity in the deal, or either or within your company in itself. But this is one of those things is you just have to find a way versus a excuse. That's the bottom line there, because many people say, I don't want to give up equity in my business, but I need someone to do this. Is I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if you don't have the money to pay them, you want to offer them equity, you got to come up with something else. I mean, there's just there's a very finite of other ways outside of that. So how bad do you want it? It is one of those things that I just want to provide the context on. So that's all in essence, you guys, on that. The book that I want to give with you is by John Doerr, I believe is actually the name of it, but the title of it is Measure What Matters Most. Yes, Measure What Matters Most by John Doerr. And that's exactly what it is measuring what matters. And this goes into your KPIs, which is your key performance indicators. Is some people measure things, and at my company is we have everything in graphs. And we also have scoreboards too. And from this is we have graphs and scoreboards. That way everyone is on the same page with, hey, it looks we're moving in an upward trend, or let's say we're moving in a downward trend. What is going on, and where do we need to make adjustments? And everyone has a clear picture of, hey, this is our goal. We have our actual where we're at. And then we also have our target that's calculated as well. So if we're constantly behind or we're constantly over our target, awesome, woo! And if we're down on our target and it's been several weeks, then we know we got to plug a hole somewhere, that there's a root, or that we got put another service out there or something along those lines, or hire someone else to help out. So all these different things, but that's why measuring what matters most, such as appointment set, that's one. Or let's say closed sales, that's another key one. Or outbound calls that you've made. How many people you've actually contacted is another one. So it depends upon your industry. Key ones that I look for is appointment set is one. Also outbound calls is another. That's on the acquisitions arm. And then also you can look at how many people visit your website versus the amount of people who actually convert to actually signing up to view your various opportunities. So that's in essence what it means, is measure what matters most. And then from there, you're only focusing on the key things that you need to hone in on and that you need to that you want to keep pushing up. So all right, everyone, those of you, now we're going into the outro, is that are on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And if you want the free guide on how to get started in multifamily, go ahead and visit sterlingwhiteofficial.com. One more time, that is sterlingwhiteofficial.com. Keep being awesome, you all. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to the Real Estate Experience. If this has brought you any value, please subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. It would mean the world to me. Now go out there and crush it.